Hello ladies and gents, my name is Trev and I am the Geekologist, and welcome to the Geekology channel. Today we're going to be doing a sort of live unboxing of a new IEM that has just dropped through my letterbox, the Moondrop LAN in-ear monitor, priced at $39.99, and that price is in dollars for those of you in the UK and Europe and elsewhere in the world that love my channel. Welcome all. This is the Moondrop LAN, simply come out on the market this week as far as I'm aware. There are no reviews to bias my opinion. I have had a look at the information on their website and on Headfi that is available. This has come courtesy of shenzhenaudio.com, and a link is supplied in the description and above. I'll give you my instant honest reaction. I will be comparing this with a similar IEM that I really liked, that I reviewed last month, which is the Truth-Ear Hola, which is priced similarly in the budget range at around $19. As you can see, very attractive long box there, and LAN, I am led to believe, stands for lotus flower, hence the young lady with the in-ear monitors but with the flowers cascading down. Very nice, very attractive packaging, and there we have the technical aspects of it. I'm led to believe these are going to be highly sensitive in-ear monitors, although they are 32 ohms impedance. They're 120 dBs sensitivity, so the two will mean that they will play in any smartphone you care to name, if you have a headphone jack of course. I'm going to be using the Truth-Ear Shio DAC dongle for these. Our first look, and similar to Truth-Ear's leather pouch for their higher priced hexes. I really like that. I really like that clasp design, don't you? I'm sure it's not, but it smells like leather, it feels like leather. Therefore, can we call it leather? Some spare tips there. How do we get this out? Oh, easy enough. There's a detachable cable, we'll have a look at that in a minute. And they just pop out. Very weighty indeed. Quite small. Yeah, a fairly ergonomic shape. Anyway, let's put them there. We'll obviously need the tips. What else have we got? Warranty card? Oh no, that's quality certificate. These have even got a serial number on them. I presume that's to get into the world of Moondrop. There's the serial number, some instructions, wearing of earphones, and leave the nitty-gritty out. Put all that to one side. So we've got small, medium and large ear tips. We'll go with medium to start with. I'm sure that will be fine for an initial listen. A little bit more I can tell you about these while we're fiddling around with them is that their distortion is apparently remarkably low, and the reason why they're quite heavy is this is a steel casing rather than a plastic casing around these. So we'll put those over left and right like that so as I don't get confused. Yes, so it's got ultra low distortion, high sensitivity, and Moondrop have said that they are putting the sound signature of these, or the frequency response curve of these, which is 20 to 20,000 kilohertz, very close to the VDSF tuning target. VDSF is Moondrop's version of the Harman Kardon frequency response curve. The frequency response curve is a sort of a balancing act between what most people that listen to music find to be the nicest signature to their music. So it tends to be slightly bassy with a bit of a peak in the mids. It drops down and goes into the highs. The frequency response curve is only half of the battle. If you're using poor quality materials, then no matter how closely you stay to the frequency response curve, it's still not going to sound great. Let's put these in my ears. Well, in they go. It's a shame there's no chin strap. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have these playing with the Truthia Shio now, to put them through the paces, and I'll do a trial against the Truthia Hola, which, as you know, I liked if you've been following this channel, and I'll get back to you nice and bassy, not particularly screechy in the highs, just waiting for some vocals to kick in. So the bass is there, but it's not thudding, thumping, pounding bass that can become annoying after a while. It's nicely understated. So they've got the mid bass right. The sub bass has got some viscerality to it. As always, it's not easy to really fault those at the moment on first listen. The best way, of course, is to try another pair of earphones as quickly as you can after listening to them, to see if you can pick up any personality with one set of earphones over the other, and whether technically their sound is as good as they appear to be to start with. So I'm going to plug in the Holas now. These are quite a lot more splashy in the treble. Not annoyingly so, but these have a sort of a slightly more in your face feel to the sound. They sound a bit rawer, a bit rougher. Because these are a bit more treble heavy, they appear to have a wider sound stage. Yeah, because the sound is a bit more refined, you can pick out the micro effects of individual instruments a little bit easier. Just turn these up to see whether that made any difference to the sound signature. These are slightly less sensitive than the Holas. The peaks, the dynamics, the changes in sound between loud and quiet are much more noticeable on those. The Holas are still pretty amazing. So I'm listening to a track called Boy Blue by Electric Light Orchestra from the Eldorado album. I chose this one because it's got the absolute range of all types of instruments. It's proper rocking. There's lots of acoustic instruments in here. Obviously we've got a full orchestra playing there, as well as drums, vocals. What sounds like George Harrison playing guitar. By turning the volume up, it's just got louder than the Holas. I think it's more to do with the presentation of the sound signature. I think because these sound slightly more smoother and more refined, they sound like they're sort of quieter. That's the first few minutes on the Moondrop LANs, and I used the Truthia Shio DAC dongle, affordable DAC dongle. What I mean is it doesn't stretch into the hundreds of dollars. A nice soft feel to the cable, as well as arguably to the sound. Everything just sounds refined without over smoothing and sounding dull and lifeless, which some of the cheaper earphones have suffered from in the past. But it seems like with each release they seem to get their act together better and better. So the Moondrop versus the Hola, you're going to want to know what my overall opinion of the two are, and I think the Hola is absolutely great. There is very little to fault for $19. Some may prefer the Hola to the LAN, but I think technically the LAN is going to win every time in terms of being able to retrieve extra information and sounding a little bit more natural, and having sufficient space between the music track to be able to differentiate those micro details. It is slightly pulled back in the highs, or it's arguably slightly more linear response than the cheaper Holas. It means that the sound stage isn't quite as large. Things like the cymbals and stuff don't sound quite so exciting. The mid bass is more linear and slightly faster sound than the Holers, so that won't initially sound quite so exciting, but over the course of time you'll appreciate the fact that you're not getting that thumping, pounding noise. The sub bass is there when needed. You get just a tiny pleasant push of air against your inner ear when the sub bass kicks in, but as soon as that sub bass comes off, kick drums start, then it's very pleasant to listen to and a very smooth, refined sound. The sound for $39.99 is very difficult to fault. I said initially when I was listening to that Eldorado track from ELO that it was very difficult to find fault in it, and therefore I had to try and find its personality by trying another set of earphones. It's very difficult to fault anything other than the lack of a chin strap. The memory wire seems to serve well. The earphones are heavy because they've got a steel shell, but that and the fact the cable is suitably weighty seems to lock them into the sweet spot in the ear canal without any need to micro adjust them. The beryllium is apparently part of the diaphragm of these drivers. The steel shell, the quality of the cable, all make for a very pleasant listening experience. I think there's very little else to tell you. If you are interested in the Moondrop LAN and you're worried as to whether it's got some edginess to it, it hasn't. If you're worried that it's overly smooth, it's not. It is slightly smooth. If you're worried that the sound stage is too small, well, I think the sound stage is slightly more realistic than, for instance, the Holer, which is got a more unnatural sound to the upper ranges, and I found the vocals quite easy to follow as well. If there's anything else you'd like to know about the Moondrop LAN that you don't think I've put in the live unboxing experience that I've just shown you, then feel free to put it in your comments section. Don't forget to like, subscribe. This has been another installment in the Geekology channel. Until the next time.